Welcome back to the ESPN Hoops and Hits podcast presented by Tab. I'm the Scope, joined by my man, the Grub. And Grub, I'm going to let you know early, mate. I'm fired up for this one.
Oh.
Hey, I'm really fired up. There's a couple of things in here, and I think I'm going to fire you up with a couple of my takes.
Are you fired up as in, like, you're angry, you want to get something off your chest, or you just fired up because it's a great episode?
It's a great episode, and I think we're going to disagree on a few things, which I love doing as well. There at times, we think alike. We've come from similar backgrounds.
We do.
But I think I'm going to throw something at you that I'm hoping it's going to piss you off a little bit.
So it's like you're going to throw the line out.
Yeah.
Throw some bait in there.
And I'm definitely going to upset a lot of people watching as well.
Oh, I love this.
I know.
That's all we got to do.
Yeah.
Rattle the cages, Hoz.
All right. So on today's show, we're going to talk about Micah Parsons, and would you trade Micah or would you re-sign Micah? This is off the back of a back and forth Twitter beef he had with ex-Dallas Cowboys DeMarcus Lawrence after he signed at the Houston Texans. Steph Curry has hit 4K worth of three-pointers in his career. There's only one other person that is at the 3,000 mark, and that's James Harden. We'll look back at the best single-game individual performance in NBA history. We will debate the best off-season moves in the NFL so far. And we have a UFC special, pick of the week, And you're pumped up for this. You've deep delved. You've done your homework on this, and you're ready to go for the UFC this week.
I actually am. And the good thing is I'm going to give everyone a bit of value.
Responsibly, of course.
Bit of value.
Yeah.
Responsibly, absolutely. But I like it. I like my tips.
All right. Well, let's kick it off with Left on Red as per. We're going to start with Twitter, and this one comes from EJ Stewart. I don't think Micah Parsons' teammates take him seriously and that his constant talking is not helpful on a losing team. So, the beef continues at the Cowboys with DeMarcus Lawrence, who had a shot at the Cowboys. Micah Parsons responded via Twitter, Grub or no Grub, beefing online with ex-teammates DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah, I'm grubbing this. I've grubbed this all the time, all year. I don't understand the whole. Why do you have to generate that on social media? Well, what is it going to gain for either party?
So he's responded to a clip that was posted on social media. If I was DeMarcus Lawrence, you or Micah Parsons, I had said something in an interview and it was posted on Twitter, would you call me? And is that the way you'd go about it?
That's what I would do.
If you had a disagreement?
Or I seen you next time.
Yeah.
I don't think doing it on Twitter is the right way to do it. And Micah Parsons, he wants to go on podcasts every single week and it's always...
Get the pedal up.
Yeah.
Grub or no Grub podcasting while you're playing throughout the season.
Well, no, because you know what it is? Some people can, some people can't.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to say. Some people know that, it's happened before in the NRL. People have gone on podcasts and said stuff and the media just love it.
Yeah,
They're licking their lips. Especially
if you're struggling, mate.
That's what it is.
And especially if you don't have the runs on the board.
They're looking to pick you apart. You say one thing, they twist and turn it. It's so some people, but then some people are really good at it because they understand that there's everyone watching. It is a podcast, but they've got enough knowledge and speak about the game itself, not about why the coach should be sacked or not about Micah Parsons. Mate, we get it.
Yeah.
You love the Cowboys.
You know what? It's a great point too because one of the podcasts that stopped was Paul George. He stopped his podcast recently. He does a really good job of interviewing players, talking about current events without getting caught up and giving clickbait stuff to anyone. Even he had to stop because they were struggling. A Philly was struggling. It's not the season they anticipated. He's on big money. He stopped. He was actually doing it the right way, in my opinion. But the look, it's just... the fan base, it's the fans, the media. And you're right with the media. You give them an inch because if they're doing podcasts, you're essentially doing the job of the media, that they should be doing. So if you give them, you could have a big spiel during a podcast and then you take a little bit out of that and then you don't give the context of where that comes from, bang, that's their headline. And they're going to go after you because you're trying to take their job. That's the way that they look at it.
And they don't care about the rest of the potty. You could have said the best stuff.
Yep.
You could have literally, Micah Parsons could be all his teammates being said, I love this place, I love this. But what do you think they're going to grab? The one little clip. But I also think if you are losing, and you're losing on Sunday, but then you're doing a podcast on Monday or Tuesday, and you're all happy and you're talking about other things. Are you really caring about what's going on on Sundays?
Yeah.
I just don't think it's the right look. You're right. And good on Paul George for doing that because he realised, but old Paso just keeps carrying on like a pork chop.
Okay, take your Philadelphia Eagles hat off, put your Dallas Cowboys hat on.
Yep.
Micah Parsons is due to get a big contract very soon. Remove the podcast.
Yep.
The talent alone, sign Micah Parsons or do not re-sign Micah Parsons.
Not even a question re-sign him.
The talent.
The talent.
Okay.
The talent
Would
itself.
that be a part? Would you put something, a clause or something like that into the contract with Micah Parsons? Go, hey, we're going to make you the highest paid non-defensive player.
Yep.
You're going to surpass Myles Garrett and Max Crosby. Remove the podcast.
100%. You have to. Like, you literally have to, because this isn't the first time teammates have been talking about him. Man, you'd get over it every time. Like, for me personally, it was just like, and look, times have changed. Times have definitely changed. But sometimes when we lost, I didn't like music in the shed straight after.
Yeah.
That's just something little for me.
Yeah. I know where you're going.
But some guys,
Yep.
A bit of new era, and now you walk into the shed, you can't even have your own. You got to have your own headphones in, otherwise there's a boombox blaring. I can't even hear myself think.
Shout out to the Panthers boys, Brian. On the drone line.
It's at the Dogs as well
It's at
now.
the Tigers now too.
Oh, mate. So, but no, you know what I'm saying. Everyone's a bit different, but the times have definitely changed.
Yeah, you're right. All right. Would I re-sign Micah Parsons? No, I wouldn't. I've gone back and I was thinking about this as well, and I'm looking at the huge contracts. Myles Garrett, Cleveland Browns. How good have they been the last couple of years? Max Crosby, the Las Vegas Raiders. How good have they been the last couple of years? Just got re-upped. Trey Hendrickson. He's about to get a big deal if he's traded because Bengals can't keep him. Leading the sacks in the last 2 years combined. How good have the Bengals been defensively? When I look at that position, I'm not going to overpay for that position. Look at the championship teams, right? Who was the best, in my opinion? Well, I'll answer my own question. The best defensive player on the Eagles, in my opinion, was Jalen Carter.
Gun.
The best player on the Chiefs defense the last couple of years, they won the Super Bowl, Chris Jones. Before that, Aaron Donald for the Rams. They all play in the interior defensive line. I would rather pay an elite interior defensive lineman rather than outside guys. I think there are better tackles than there are guards and centers in the competition. So if you get a mismatch through the middle, that's why I'd pay it. Not even all the podcast stuff and all that, remove all that. I just think specifically the position of a defensive end, I think you can double and triple team them sometimes and remove them from the game. If you look at your Eagles in the Super Bowl, there were multiple guys on rotation that come up with a sack and a half, or 2 sacks in the Super Bowl.
Because of the people around them.
And they were rotation guys, but Jalen Carter was the one through the middle. Even go back even to the Tom Brady era. Vita Vea was the unstoppable force in a really good Bucs defense through the middle as well. So no Micah Parsons for me. And then all the drama, you can have that as well. Whoever gets him, take your podcast, take your defensive end, take your rotational piece, whatever you want to call it. No Micah Parsons for
I
me.
like that. That is a good, really good analogy. I'm going to rewatch his podcast and listen to that again.
Okay.
Because that's great.
We'll run it back next week then. All right, let's get to another signings. Well, probably the biggest rumours and re-signings has to be with the Bengals, and this one comes from Instagram. Tom is me. So this team is done. Super Bowl window is closed. The Bengals have reached an agreement with T. Higgins for 4 years for $115 million, and Jamar Chase becomes the highest paid non-quarterback. I feel like that is said every week with contracts these years. We've got the highest paid quarterback of all time. We've got the highest paid non-quarterback of all time. Jamar Chase, he said he was going to smash Justin Jefferson, his good friend from LSU's contract. He does. 4-year, $161 million deals. Thoughts on the deals? Does this make the Bengals a Super Bowl team or bust? And who's going to defend for the Cincinnati Bengals?
Well, it all relies on Hendrickson for me. It really does. But they're not going to be able to keep him. Not after these deals. They're mega. They are like, and this is the thing. They pretty much had these wide receivers last year. Yeah. And they had our offense was outstanding.
Fantasy was
off the
best.
Higgins, he had some soft tissues. That scares me. Because soft tissues keep coming back.
Agreed.
But their defense is the same. Ever since they let go of Jesse Bates III a couple of years ago,
good
that was
safety.
that was huge.
Yeah.
He was really good for them. And then DJ Reader as well.
Yep.
Last year,
Big boy through the middle.
they're nowhere near a top 10 defense. And I think you said before, Horo, you need to be at least in the top 10 defensively to, coincide with your offense. So
can you score enough points to win the division, to get to the playoffs with this team and do something scary in the playoffs?
Yeah, it's like the old West Tigers. We'll beat by 40.
Tigers,
40,
Bengals, that makes sense.
Is.
The colour scheme
there you
works.
go. It actually is exactly the same because, I played with Benji and Robbie Farah.
Yeah.
And they would literally say that. We're going to score more points than you.
Yeah.
And if there's a team that's going to do it, it's these guys.
Yeah.
But it all just comes back to their defense. Like last year, they're in a division where they need to stop the run, and they were absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
So they haven't fixed anything.
No.
So
And
what's
they've
going to change?
They've lost both of their starting because Sam Hubbard retired as well. He was the other defensive end opposite Trey Hendrickson, who's done a really good job for him. Really happy for my fantasy team, my dynasty fantasy team. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, the connection is going to be there. And for me, selfishly, I love it. People would like Jamar Chase owners, Joe Burrow owners, they wanted T. Higgins to move elsewhere because then Jamar gets more receptions. No. Jamar plays better when T. Higgins is on the field.
Agreed.
Because then he's not able to be double teamed every play. But here's why I wouldn't have done it. Jamar Chase makes sense. LSU teammates, they go back. They've clearly got a good connection. They could be one of the best quarterback wide receiver duos of all time. So you keep that. I wouldn't have signed T. Higgins because I already know Joe Burrow's elite. I know Joe Burrow, you can either draft or bring in a journeyman wide receiver and Joe Burrow will make him look good.
Yeah.
That's the one for me. The T. Higgins deal, I love him as a player. I reckon he would have been an elite wide receiver number one just for another team. But I don't know how you pay T. Higgins and Jamar Chase when you know you got the dude in Joe Burrow who will make Ishavas, the third receiver, look good. I know they drafted a guy in the second or third round last year as well. The name's escaping me. And they've probably got the opportunity to draft a third or fourth round wide receiver, and Joe Burrow will make him look good. Like Gesicki, he wasn't doing anything, the tight end at the Dolphins. He ends up looking like a half-decent tight end this year as well with Joe Burrow. So that's the most confusing part. I'd want protection over wide receivers, and I'd want to help out my defense that has struggled at the Cincinnati Bengals now for a couple of years since the Super Bowl run.
Does T. Higgins get how much more does he get if he goes? If they don't keep him?
Do you think? Oh no, I think that's T. Higgins' number no matter where he goes. Maybe an extra 10 to 15 mil, maybe 2 mil per year.
But he's not getting 160s, 150s.
No, he's not getting Jamar money.
No.
I think he's a really good bottom of the end wide receiver one, elite wide receiver two. Like if you get him as your second guy, the Bengals are going to score points, but whether they can defend, and they're going to have to for sure let go of Hendrickson. I wouldn't even consider Hendrickson because it's almost 50% of their salary cap with Joe Burrow, T. Higgins,
50%
almost, and Jamar Chase. So a lot of work to be done there offensively, and they're going to have to draft really well.
What about Zach Taylor, their offensive coordinator? What is he like? He's got it all. He's got Ferrari, Lamborghini, and I don't know.
Zach's the head coach too, so he's a huge part of this. He's a part of the decision. You're right. He's an offensive-minded head coach.
Like he's thinking.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He just sacked the defensive coordinator. He doesn't care about defense. He just wants to put up points, and maybe he thinks that's the way he'll keep his job.
Imagine they do it like that, and they just outscore everyone.
Tigers of 05.
Wow.
Let's move to Facebook, and this one comes from JPZ. He's the first player in NBA history to reach 4,000 in a career. Only one other player in history has even made 3,000s. That's LA Clippers' James Harden, who's 35 and nearly 900 behind Curry, who turns 37 on March 14th. Steph Curry is unbelievable. All right, I've got to start, sit, and sell the best three-point. Probably these three guys are considered the best three-point shooters of their era.
Yep.
We'll start with Steph Curry of this era. Ray Allen, probably more recently, the back end of a really good Celtics career, and then he did some good things at the Heat. And Reggie Miller dominated the 90s with his three-point shooting. So, start, sit, or sell Curry, Ray Allen, and Reggie Miller.
Starting Curry. I love him. I love what he's done. He's changed the game.
Yep.
He started shooting three-pointers from from anywhere. I'm going to bench Miller. Love him. One club man.
Yeah, love that. That's why I love Steph as well.
That. I love that. But I'm cutting Allen just because he finished at the Heat.
Wow. Yeah, that's a nice little stab to finish off with. Here you go. Here's one with Steph. I think there's a good argument. Well, in my preference, I like Steph's career over LeBron's.
Come on. Do you want to do? Can we want to cut? Do you want to cut?
No, cut.
Really?
So when it comes down to championships, they've both got the same amount. They've both got 4. And in 3 of those championships, he's beat LeBron James. LeBron's got 1. Mind you, it was 1-for-1 before the Kevin Durant trade, which was huge. But the part that I love, and what you mentioned about Reggie Miller as well, is Steph has stayed the course at Golden State. I love loyalty. He's done it. They've built teams around him. Players, the Kevin Durant one is huge. Kevin Durant wanted to come to them.
Yep.
It wasn't like the GM who goes and chases it to Miami, then comes back and then makes trades.
Yeah, but he still went.
Who?
Durant. He's still there.
Yeah, but Steph, that's not Steph's fault.
Well, I'm sure
that's a blemish on Kevin Durant's
I'm sure he
career,
made that.
not Steph's. Steph did it and already won a championship with Draymond Green and Klay Thompson, who were all drafted there. The only sort of splash that they had was their sort of hybrid 6-man, Hamptons 5-player, Andre Iguodala, but he wasn't like a household, like top of the list player that everyone considers one of the best of all time. So
you're actually putting him with LeBron James. LeBron is. Everyone says he's going to possibly be the GOAT, and you're putting Steph next to him.
I would have Steph Curry over LeBron.
As number 1?
No, Michael's number 1. That's not even a debate to me.
Okay, so Michael 1, Steph 2.
Michael's 6-0.
Ahead of all.
In championships and finals, 10. When it counts, when you get to the big dance.
No, I'm Michael as well.
Okay.
Don't turn this on me.
All right, sweet.
No, we're LeBroning here.
Okay.
It's
so people were talking about LeBron and 2.
Some people don't have Steph in their top 10.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
No, but they actually don't. We've spoken of this before.
Yeah.
He just misses out.
Yeah.
Clearly.
I've got Steph over LeBron. There we go. So let's get to LeBron.
Stop trying to create bias.
Let's get to Facebook, and this one's from John Askew. Only time. See, this is where, if this was at the Lakers, it should be Steph Curry sitting up there and he'd kick the OG LeBron to the ground. You're not playing LeBron. Don't come here dressed in your jeans and your jacket and that and think you can come sit in the end. I've beaten you 3 times in the championship in the NBA finals. Go sit down like Bronny. But jokes aside, Grub or no Grub, OG LeBron making rookie Bronny sit on the ground even though he's in street clothes.
That's a Grub act. You can't do that. He's playing. I don't care who you are. You know what, Jose? I've got a question for you.
Give it to me.
Do you actually think there is
no
anyone?
Grub.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man.
Kiddies Bronny, sit on the ground.
Yeah, come on.
Big Papa's in the house.
Hasn't changed. So now LeBron's Big Papa.
Yeah, but he's not Steph Curry.
Man, you got mixed stuff going on today.
Oh, see, this is not where I'm not biased on this. I really believe I'd have Steph Curry over LeBron and what he's been able to achieve and the way he's gone about it. But in this case, Kiddies Bronny.
He's on the floor. His back could be sore, mate.
You're lucky to get drafted.
He's good.
There you go.
His bum might be
Dad
sore.
would go, mate, you're lucky. The only reason you're playing for the Lakers is because of me. So,
do you think he does this to anyone else, though? Or do you think it's a bit of a jab because it's his son?
No, I think that's the part of it. So he would do this to anyone else.
Do you think anyone else would stand up to him?
No one is standing up. No one ever stands up to LeBron.
Why?
That's the part that I hate.
Why is that? Anyone, like I'm talking like Steph, Tatum, if they're in this team and they say, "Man, I don't think that's on."
I don't think LeBron would do it to another superstar. It's always role players.
But is anyone calling him out on that?
No one ever calls LeBron out. All his ex-teammates, hardly anyone.
I know somebody does.
Come on, bro. Because I'm all the way over here and I'm not in LA.
Yeah. I nearly got him on the potty once because I'm not with that guy.
I know. He's Stephen A. Smith me when he comes and watches the Sydney Kings game. Gets all in my chest. All right, this one comes from Facebook, and we're going to discuss the top 5 single performances of all time. Child Cass is obviously a Kobe fan. Kobe's last game, that was unbelievable, to be fair. The 60-pointer. Kobe's 81-point game and outscoring Dallas in 3 quarters. as well. So, do you have? Oh, let's just go one. Like, what's your favorite all-time performance? And you know what, Child Cass, I like the Kobe last game performance, even though it was against the Jazz.
The last game?
His last ever game. Yep, when he went up to Shaq and, they had that Kobe farewell tour and, he goes up to Shaq and Shaq said something about like 40 and he said, I'm going to give you 50 or something like that. Or maybe it was 50 to 60, whatever it was. And he lived up to it.
Imagine knowing that you could put 50 on.
That'd be nice.
People would hate him. I'm going to go Shaq. 24 points, 28 rebounds, 15 blocks versus the Nets, 1993.
Wow.
That's big.
That's huge.
15 blocks.
15 blocks. A triple-double with a block.
28 rebounds.
I know we talked a lot about, I think Wemby pulled it off this year and he had a triple-double with blocks or it was thereabouts. I wasn't aware that Shaq did this. So that's a huge stat line.
You know what, Shaq, even though he is noticed, I still feel like people, even now, do you feel Wemby's going to surpass him straight up?
Oh, different players, because Wemby can do more. Like it's a new age center, but Shaq was so dominant. Like when he was in a mood, like those championship years with Kobe. Kobe's renowned as one of the greatest of all times, but you could argue that Shaq was the best player in that team.
But that's a mood. If that's not a mood, that's embarrassing a team.
Well, that's why he's considered not the best player of all time, but potentially the most dominant for a period of time. Like the run that he went on for, going from the Orlando Magic years before he got traded to the Lakers, he was near unstoppable. Like unstoppable. That's when Hacker Shaq come in because they just started hacking him because they couldn't stop him and he couldn't shoot free throws. That's the only way that they could defend Shaq at one point. Send him to the line, miss free throws because they couldn't defend him. He was too big. Like imagine that. Like imagine in rugby league if someone just like you get to the line and they just keep giving penalties away on the line, and there's no 10 in the bin rule. You just go, we know this Brisbane Broncos or Panthers team's going to score all the time. Let's just give away penalties and hope they kick penalty goals. That's how good he was.
That's
like
how dominant he was. For that period, that is domination.
Yeah. Another little one, sneaky one I'm going to throw in there. Linsanity against Kobe in the Garden when it was at the peak of Linsanity. I remember that as a Knicks fan. I was Carmelo. Linsanity's coming in and taking all this. I think Mallow low-key hated him too because he's getting all this fanfare. But that performance against Kobe at Madison Square Garden, that was electric. And the Madison Square Garden crowd was just when they're all going up like that. There's nothing.
Have you been there?
I haven't.
I want to go. Let's go.
It's my ultimate bucket list. We'll see if ESPN can send us over for the NBA Finals.
For sure.
Because the Knicks will be there. All right, let's get to the stalemate. What do we think about the off-season moves so far? We'll do this nice and quick, mate. I just want to know your team and the reason why you think that team has won the off-season so far in the NFL with free agency.
Well, I'm going to go a bit of a different one. I like Geno Smith to the Raiders.
Okay.
With Pete Carroll.
Yep.
I think that they've been struggling for such a long time, but Pete Carroll is going to bring some culture into that place. I feel it's so hard to make Las Vegas a cultural place. Pete Carroll, one of my favorite all-time coaches. I love him. I love his energy. I love everything about him. Same as Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Like I just think he's not great.
Underdog.
He's a bit of an underdog.
Yeah.
So they might actually start winning some games. And look, mate, there's plenty more bigger name signings and stuff, but I just like that little combo.
I think the Geno Pete Carroll combination can get him around 10 wins and be competing in a very hard division.
Yep.
I'm going to go the Los Angeles Rams. I'm going to go Devontae Adams.
Yep.
I think Devontae Adams at this point of his career, even though they're both veterans, is an upgrade on Cooper Kupp. I watched Cooper Kupp closely last year because I had him in my dynasty team. He's nowhere near the Cooper Kupp that he was a couple of years ago when he was doing the triple. He was the triple threat with touchdowns, receptions, and yards. And the fact that they were able to smooth it out with Stafford, get him to stay, not only stay, get rid of his best mate Cooper Kupp and bring in Devontae Adams with that young defense, with Puka Nacua, and then the run game is always going to be elite at the Rams. I think the Rams are a real threat. They're the biggest threat to your Eagles next year.
So you're happy that Devontae Adams you think he's going to get back to where where
I
he's
think
been.
Devonta Adams is still a really good wide receiver. He was good at the Raiders. He had a slow start at the Jets, but I put that more down to the instability at the Jets. Once he started getting going, once Aaron started getting the ball, Aaron's nowhere near the quarterback he was. I think Matt Stafford is an upgrade, and Aaron Rodgers right now, not overall. Matt Stafford's a really good quarterback.
Nice.
And Sean McVay is an out-and-out upgrade on anyone who Devonta Adams has had in the last 5 or 6 years. So I think he'll put him in positions to win. All right, let's look at the Pick Six presented by Tab. We're looking at 3 fights. So this is the Pick 3 presented by Tab. We're looking at 3 fights in the UFC. We've got some big names in this one. We'll kick it off with Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady. Where are you going on this one?
Well, Edwards fighting in London, hometown. He's had a couple of good fights. Nate Diaz, Covington. He got beat by Muhammad. But I just think Edwards at a 225 outsider, homegrown advantage. I'm taking him.
Okay.
Yep.
Jan Blankwich versus Carlos Ulberg.
So this one's a bit flying under the radar, but so everyone's thinking Ulberg's going to knock him out. He's short. He's very short, but Jan had a very good fight against Alex Pereira.
Yep.
And if he brings that himself to that, you're picking up some juicy odds. I think you're around the 3s.
Okay.
Yeah. Ulberg is $1 short, $1.15 or something like that.
Okay.
So I'm going the upset. 2 upsets in a row.
Ooh, I'm on Ulberg for that one. Gunnar Nelson versus Kevin Holland.
Kevin Holland, he's backing up from January. He's lost his past 5. Gunnar Nelson beats him.
Okay.
Fighting way too much. Nelson.
Well, I think you're going to hit your multi on the weekend.
Thank you.
For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
Grub, that's it for this week. I'm going to get hammered for my Steph Curry over LeBron take, but that's my take, and it's our podcast, and I can say whatever I want.
Do whatever you want.
See you next week.